on your floors before. It's not something that's terribly uncommon. We're using this one as a non-invasive ventilator most of the time, although sometimes if we have a patient that's got a home CPAP machine and we don't have one of those little boxy home units available, we may use this instead, okay? If a patient's set up on non-invasive ventilation on the V60, they're going to also have a continuous oximeter on the top of it. So if you have a patient that's set up and you happen to notice that the continuous oximeter is not included, you might want to let your RT know so that they can go get that and set it up. A couple things to look at on this device. The on-off button, I gave there's some handouts over there on the table if you guys want to look at them. I tried to coordinate my type with the arrow so that it kind of makes it color coordinated that, and I figured out how to do like word programs, so I'm excited about being able to do shapes. So yeah, on the front it shows you the two things that you'll see feedback wise on the machine when we turn it on. The top one here is actually the bottom one on the screen, and those are your settings. If a patient's ordered on BiPAP, there's two settings: inspiratory pressure, expiratory pressure, so they have to have both an I and an E. There's usually also prescribed FiO2. We can usually titrate that. The rest of the stuff we pretty much set in based on the patient. In the purple is the feedback stuff. So this is what your patient is doing. You'll see that the rate may be set at 4, the patient's breathing at a rate of 10. Inspiratory pressure set at 15, the peak inspiratory pressure should also hit 15, okay, or within 1. On the next page on the quick reference sheets here is probably the stuff that you guys are really, really focused on. There's an on-off button in red that coordinates to down here, the little on-off in the lower left corner. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and click that one on. The other button is the standby button. So if you have a patient that you're taking off for meals, or maybe they're off of it for a while to see how they do, there's a standby button that you guys probably don't want to know about. And that's actually down here. Okay, and it's going to ask you to go into standby. Yep, and it's going to notice that there's no flow from a patient, and then it goes into standby here. I'm going to unplug it, otherwise it's thinking that the patient's not breathing. Okay, so when the device is actually in standby, this is the screen that you're going to see. All you need to do from this screen is put the device back on the patient. It will restart in the ST mode. As soon as it notices that the patient's breathing, it triggers back in. Okay? Really, to put it in standby. You'll have to clear the alarms because it doesn't know if you're serious or not, and then you go right into standby. So you use standby most often. That's when the patient's going to be going on and off the BiPAP. If you're done with the patient's discharging, we don't need it anymore, you're ready to have it pulled, then you can push the off button. It's going to ask you to go and shut down. You push that and it shuts it completely down. Okay? A couple interesting facts about the V60. It is a portable unit, so if we do need to go somewhere with a patient, we can use this. It works on 2 E-tanks that we hook up in the back. It's also got an internal battery. We do want to make sure that if we're ever available for wall outlet for electrical or O2, we want to hook up to the wall first, because that would be used in transport or in a case of a power out or an emergency situation. So you try to leave that for those kind of purposes. Okay. On the last sheet, so it's a couple things to remember about BiPAP in general and about the V60 itself. The first one is the fitting of the mask. Okay. The mask should fit snug, whether it's, you know, the nose mask, the nose-mouth mask, or the full face mask, looks like a fishbowl, okay? Should fit snug, but not like so impacted onto the face that it's going to cause breakdown or irritation, or you've seen the patients take it off and they look like this afterwards. Not a good thing. So you want it snug, no leaks, because it does float a little bit with that positive pressure, okay? So you'll check for leaks and adjust for that, but you don't want to cause more damage to the patient, okay? If it's more comfortably fit, the patient's more likely to be compliant. They're going to wear it. The ones that don't want to wear it usually have had an experience where somebody used everything short of duct tape and a staple gun. Okay, so don't do that. Again, all of these guys should have an oximeter with them. It's considered non-invasive ventilation, so we want to make sure that there's an oximeter. If you don't have one, let them know. If you hear an alarm, I had to put it in for disclaimer purposes. Always check your patient first. There could actually be something going on with your patient. It might not just be the machine. We've had instances where they're saying, well, the machine keeps saying that, you know, it's I don't know, it's like they're high pressure or something. Well, the patient's coughing. Yeah, it's going to high pressure, so always check your patient first. If you have to give oral meds, you need to take the mask off completely for brief periods of time, of course, if they're needing it, but you have to do the oral meds. Let them go ahead and take the oral med, take a drink. You want to make sure that everything is clear, that they're not going to have any kind of risk of aspiration. That kind of feeds into the next one. Don't lift the mask to the side to give them a drink and then slap it back on. This is a huge aspiration risk, okay? If they're on a non-invasive ventilator, they're probably already having problems as it is. You don't want to make things worse. You imagine having any kind of fluid in your mouth and then putting positive pressure behind it. It's a straight shot right into the lungs. If they didn't have pneumonia already, they probably will now, okay? So, no. If they have to go for a swallow study, I think I put it, yeah, I did put it in here. If they have to do a swallow study, and this gets ordered on occasion with a patient with a BiPAP, they cannot do a swallow study while they're on the BiPAP, okay? They have to be off the BiPAP for 2 hours. They can go on cannula, okay, but they can't go on a BiPAP. And it has to be, we talked with speech because this came up with another patient in another unit. They have to be off the BiPAP for about 2 hours to make sure that everything is clear before they do the swallow study to make sure that it's a good, accurate study. Okay? If they can't stay off the BiPAP for 2 hours because their status is that touchy, they're not eligible to do a swallow study. You need to let the physician know, reorder it another time, or, you know, we'll have to make other arrangements, but they're not able to do it on the swallow study. Okay? So there are, you know, those little quickie reminders. I did bring it in so you guys can, like, touch it. Push the buttons if you want. It's not going to hurt anything. I know how to trigger it so you can actually see what it would be like if a patient's actually, you know, we just kind of do the thumb cover to trigger it so it thinks that it's breathing. I'll put on a mask if you guys really want to see it. I've done it. It's not that bad. Of course, I didn't staple gun and duct tape myself with it, right? This patient's really having a hard time. Okay, so again, when we're in the ST settings, this one is set on an IPAP of 18 with an EPAP of 6, so that's your I over E. Okay, 18 over 6. This particular patient's getting 40%. Backup rate of 8. Okay, 40%. This is all the things that we set. My patient's really not doing well. Rate of 22 and a tidal volume of 2,500, probably not good. The leak over here, we like to see it really ideally below 40, but it'll compensate up to 60, okay? Those are the two buttons that you really like up there, though. The alarm reset and the alarm silence. It'll give you 2 minutes. Okay. Anybody have any questions? We kind of went over it a little fast. Anybody from nights might be sleeping through it. Anybody from days is not quite awake yet. I know I've only had my first pot of coffee. I'm ready for refills.